Hello, hello. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning. How are we all doing? How are we doing? I see three people here. Let me know who you are in the chat. We always have lurkers, and I welcome you to unlurk. Let us know who you are, whereabouts in the world you are from. Um, the morning session on Friday, usually it's Australian. So usually it's Australians because I think the people in the US are about to go to bed and the people in the UK are very much asleep at this point, I think. So, yes. Let me know who you are in the chat. Always good to know who is represented in the stream. Goblin, how are you? How are you? Just in time. Yeah, it's weird this 10 o'clock time. It's like if I start the morning, if I start early and it's a smooth morning, I have like an hour to spare. If it's a rush morning, if the kids are hectic, like this morning, I literally had an hour to spare. I popped into like Kmart to go, troll the Rex for sort after Hot Wheels and whatnot. Trying to find Ninja Turtle characters because my son wants to collect the whole range of characters from the new movie, and I had time to go do it. Come home, take a breather, set some stuff up, and then wait. Whereas if it's one of those mornings where the kids are hectic, they don't want to leave the house, they want to fight instead of play with each other, they don't want to help each other. Like today, my daughter went, I want to go brush my teeth, and my son just goes, I'll help you, and I went, oh. and Jen and I are just trying to figure out like what's different about this morning compared to the other mornings where it's a bit of a struggle. But I guess that's just parenting. It's like one of those mysteries of the world. But yeah, so 10 o'clock's interesting. I think a lot of the people who who join this session, I like that. It's that some days it's four people waiting before by like 9:30, and some days it's 10 o'clock and it's still crickets because it's there's still a bit of a what's the word, like a hum from the pre-workout. Let's call it the pre-workout. Seven people here. Who's here? Let me know who you are in the chat. If you're new and you're lurking, unlurk so that we know who you are. It's a safe space. We're all lovely people, and we won't make you talk in essays if you don't want to. We just like to know who's here. Megan, hello. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I feel good this morning. I think it's going to be a good weekend of sales. Feel it in me. Megan's not new, of course, but I am lurking. Goblin saying, any highlights of the week at an auction that was I'm pretty pleased with. 20 something bidders. Nice, nice, nice. Dare we ask what category? And also, do you normally do auctions or do you normally do buy it now? I don't do auctions at all because most of my stuff, it's like I need someone is usually watching an item and then hoping that I list a desirable item and to buy it together. And I think that's niche store dynamics. I feel I'm definitely not a bolo hunter. So if I was a treasure hunter, I would do the auction thing, and I used to do the auction thing when I did sneakers and cards. But yeah, something about I definitely feel like I get more money not doing auctions. Every time I do auctions, I feel like I'm not going to get max money, and I've very even it's a funny story. There was that you guys have heard me say this a few times already, I think. But if you're new, I picked up a really rare 1 in 10 in the world car. They're called Ultra Raw Auto Worlds. Anyways, they can go anywhere from like $500 to $1,000, but they cost $13 on the pegs it came out. And I happened to come across one in Mansfield where the mountains are, Mount Buller is. I put it on eBay for $1,000. I take a best offer of 800, ship it to the States. And Jen says, that's the most valuable thing. You know, would you have gotten more if you had waited longer? If you had done the auction thing? And then I was also part of the interest group for that car brand, like Hot Wheels groups, Auto World group. And in that group, I kid you not, within the day that it arrived, the guy who bought it put a picture up going, I've completed my collection. And I thought to myself, actually, I don't think I would have gotten more because very few people will complete to that level where they must have the 1 in 10. Most people will collect to the level above it, which is like the 1 in a 500 or something. And so I don't know how many people want the 1 in 10 and how many people want the 1 in 10 of that model. And it wasn't like a sought after model. It was like a 2019 Camaro, as opposed to say, you know, a 65 Mustang that has, you know, more people nostalgic about it. Current car, 1 in 10. So I said to her, no, actually, I only would have gotten that dollar figure if I had bought it, put it for buy it now, and the person was like, I'm not gonna wait, I'm gonna just buy it because I want it. And so it was very much a stars aligning situation, which means if I picked it up, let's say 3 weeks later, or if I had discovered that car, because I picked it up I think it was like a week or two after it was globally released. So there wasn't much time for them to surface yet. But if I picked it up, say 3 months later, 6 months later, I definitely would have gotten 800 for it. It would have been a case of 500 and wait, because that buyer, maybe one other buyer in the world who loves that car and must go to that 1 in 10, probably already had their fix. They would have paid the 800 to somebody else, and that buyer was off the market. Interesting. It's interesting. So it's not always the case. If you hold it, you'll get it. If you auction it, you'll get that price. Nuances of pricing. Chime in if you have a similar experience where you're like, nah, actually, normally people auction, but I did buy it now, and I know I got more because I did buy it now. Let me know your story on that situation, and the nuance, I suppose, in your category. We've got Ben Lurker from Melbourne. I find your lives very informative and great to have in the background. Thank you, thank you. Whereabouts in Melbourne are you? I'm in Knox. I like knowing who's local. That way, when we do meetups, we can herd everybody and go thrifting together, just have a meal, whatever, right? That's what communities do. How did you hear about the channel? I found an unopened Lego set. From my kiddos' toy box I left behind when they moved out. Interesting. So vintage then, vintagey things. Nice. I love those ones where you see you see a marketplace listing and you can tell just from the way the boxes are slightly battered that they've just been in storage. And then if you click on the profile photo, it's like an oldish lady, and she's asking, you know, she's essentially asking the sticker price on the box to get her money back. And I remember picking up a box of I think it was Orient Express Lego. It was only like an elephant. It was like an elephant with a minifigure and like a couple of things in it. Like a very small box. And she wanted I think it was like $10 for it because that was the sticker price. And then I sold it for $85. Northern suburbs near Whittlesea. I can't remember if you just came up on my YouTube or if I heard of you from other YouTubers. Got it. Oh, you could have. Were you following the channel when we did that thrift crawl with Mel and Tom? That Jody and Vaya joined in as well, because we did northern suburbs, but I don't think we went. Whittlesea is way further than that. We went out. We did Ringwood, Greensboro, and then I think as north as we went was Preston, and then we came back down. Yeah. What's the sourcing like up there? I see lots of bulk lots up that way that I just don't drive up to because it's too far. For those of you guys who don't know, Whittlesea for Melbourne, it's like we have the coast. So essentially, you have Melbourne in the middle, like city in the middle. You go down all the way to Mornington, and then you go across the west to Geelong. And then everything else just feels spread out. So like Grumpy Granny is Donald in one direction, so it's Drew in one direction. Like Jada, Diary of a Flipper, you've got Blake, Life of a Reseller. They're in Ballarat, so that's like in a different direction. And then Whittlesea is like the same thing, but in the northern direction. So from me to go to Whittlesea, it's like an hour and a half drive with traffic. And then you drive past a lot of going to be developed, but not developed yet places. So you'll drive past and you'll see an old town. Then you drive past again in 6 months' time, you'll see the pub from the old town, but everything else has already been mowed down. And they're essentially, it's like all these signposts for, new development. Imagine yourself living here, that kind of, billboards. And then if you go out 6 months later, the pub will still be there. And then next to it will be like a Kmart and the Macca's and a Coles that have just opened up. And then you'll see some people living there in the new houses. Yeah. So that's like the Whittlesea direction. Paul's here. Hello, hello. Yeah, you went to a few I go to every now and then. I actually used to work at the Salvos in Watsonia. Oh, awesome. Are you a full-time reseller as well, Ben? And if you would like to, you can tell us what category you sell in. Don't have to be super specific if you don't feel comfortable, but by telling the chat, usually people will kind of go, oh, I sell that too, and then you'll make connections, and yeah. The great Paul is here. Rebecca is here. Hello, hello. Yes, you made it. Well done to you. I'm feeling a great energy today. I feel like it's going to be some awesome sales. I just got a message from a buyer saying, I've got 50 items in my cart. It's totaling $700. I don't want to make you an offer on each one. It's just too much work. So let me know what you're going to do. I'll reply back saying, just buy them all and I'll give you 20% off after you check out. That works for most buyers, but I've never had a $700 purchase take it up. So I'll see. It'll be interesting. In which case, that will be a great start to the weekend. Yay! It's my main income, but I don't work full time. Mainly clothing, but some media as well. Cool. I love reselling. It's so broad. We're all competing, but we're also not competing. If that makes sense. It's like if you, how do I put it? It's like the overlap between our inventories are oftentimes so slim that there's so much room to actually help each other if we don't focus on that overlap. And that's what I love about our community. One, two, three, four, five. 5 people chimed in. 9 people here. The other 4, are we wanting to unlock? I'll give it another minute or 2 to unlock, and then if not, I'll start a timer. We can get some of this thing done. Do the retail trick. Pay the 700, and I'll throw in the 200 of other stuff. Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah, eBay doesn't quite let us do that, do they? I mean, they would have to then screenshot and then show me what they want, and I'll take it down and then I'll just include it. But then they wouldn't know. But then if they say, right, but then if they say I don't honor it, then it's just complicated, right? Because I think it works really well with the handover situation where it's like I'm physically giving you the printer cartridge when you buy the printer and you get it in hand and it's part of that checkout experience. Paul, I think the timing matters. It's like if I pay for something and I know I'm getting something in return, and then you throw something else in as well, I feel like that's part of that experience. There needs to be a proximity of timing. If it's a case of you say you'll give this to me, and then I have time to think about whether the value is worth it or not. If let's say in a week's time when the parcel arrives, I've changed my mind about its value proposition, it's not the same. I think it all needs to happen pretty close together. That's how I feel with the whole buy one and then I'll throw in this other thing. Thoughts? What do you reckon? There is plenty of inventory for all. Agreed. I'm trying to do better now. I started around the same time as Brad and Jazz, but have been plateaued for a long time. Starting to pick up now, though. I'm not close to their legal at all. I'm not close to their level at all anymore. Yeah, look, it's if you obsessively and almost autistic level do it, you get very far. The problem is when you when you don't know how to slow down and then you break. Yeah, it's interesting. Like it's the whole juggling, right? If you juggle 10 balls, eventually it becomes a problem. So for me, it's always been a case of um, get really deep in one category. And I'm very blessed that I've got Jenny, because Jenny she'll call me out on the obsessiveness and make me more or less justify myself as to why I don't want to slow down just yet. Um, and I think at the start we definitely didn't agree, and there were arguments that were like, um, I'll just say that this sentence has been said before. I don't want you to get a stroke and I have to look after you when we're both old. So that sentence has been said before, right? It shows you where the misalignment was. But at this point, it's gotten to the point where it's like we haven't said that in a while, but we've definitely said things like, I feel like it needs to be this number of sales, this much dollars in sales, and then we're cruising. At the moment we are here. I reckon in 2 months we'll get there. And she goes, yeah, I can see that. Leaves me on for 2 months. So that yeah, but then it's like it gives you that foundation, right, for one category, and then you move on to the next one, the next one, the next one. So for me, I've got my trains, I've got my cars, I've got my action figures, I've got my dolls, in that order, and then we've got baby clothes that she manages. We're very aware of when we get tired, when family things come up, which category we continue working on and which category we can leave alone. So it looks like a juggle from everybody else's point of view, but from us, we know which one we touch, which one we don't touch. And then when we want to make money, we already know which ones we do more work on and which ones we do less work on, because we know that their markets are either saturated or have lots of potential. So I think, yeah, if you want to grow, definitely having those pivots, those options for you to work with is very helpful, because kind of like a diversified investment portfolio, really. Because yeah, it can be frustrating if you're just doing one thing and you hit a wall, but you haven't really spent any time thinking about any other things you can do. Then you just end up sitting like a bit stuck, like not a good feeling. We don't want to feel stuck. Blondie's here. Hello. I don't even know why I say hello. Hello is something that has happened only since YouTube, and I never used to say hello before this. If any of you who have followed this channel for long enough can remember at what point it started happening, help me to understand this strange behavior, because this is not me in real life. It's only just occurred to me that I do this. Sup? Yo is more of a real me in real life probably says yo more than hello. Oh gosh. Thank you. Very kind of you. All right, I'm gonna start a timer. Let's get some listing done. Boop. Lots of things to discuss in the chat. Gee, this chat has been lively. Let's talk about how many we've done. I've done 12 so far, so that's not too bad. I had some comping things to do. How do we go about this? Let's see. Would love person to person, but would like to hear others' thoughts also. Justin, do you wanna hop in on the live? Who wants to hop in for a bit of a chat? We can do like a 10-20 minute thing and then go back to listing. It doesn't have to be, like a solid hour of talking. We can more we can do a more the merrier kind of situation. Who's keen for that? I'll grab a link. Grab a link, and then whoever wants to do it can. I'll talk. So that's in terms of Hot Wheels, it's interesting. So I do my biggest category is trains, so toy trains, and but trains are such a niche thing, right? You've got collectors of vehicles like helicopters and planes, very niche as well. So cars are the most common thing because I think they're just the most common vehicle, and because they're the most common vehicle, they're also the most widely manufactured, and because of that, there's just so much out there, and the people and the thing that makes it a category that I like selling in is because I know how to curate so that people buy multiples of the thing that they want. So, for example, if you're into the 65 Mustang, you'll buy 10 of them from me because I've got 10 of them, different varieties. And then I've got another 10 of the same, but with different conditions. So you'll pick and choose, whether you're okay with a scratch on the windshield versus a scratch on the back corner. You get the idea. So knowing those nuances means that you can price it for the collector who's willing to get a cloudy windshield versus a clear windshield but a corner dent because it's been played with, right? Um, and then because when most people when they come into a category, they all they care about is rare is worth more, common is worth less. Fair, as the manufacturer intended. But then they forget about the fact that items are not meant to be collectible. They are just rare. Manufacturer rare for collectible. Usually it's numbered. They tell you what the pull rate is going to be on a card. It could be a fashion collaboration type thing between Nike and say Travis Scott, right? A famous person. But you also have rare because it's everybody liked it at the time, and then people still kept liking it, but the supply keeps diminishing because people use it, people play with it. So that rarity requires you to sell in the category. You can't actually tell people about that. You know what I mean? I can't tell you what's rare and what isn't because you're not going to appreciate it until you sell it and you realize, hey, every bulk lot I get, I seem to get more of something, less of something else. I wonder if the less of something else is rare. Another bulk lot, the less thing is still. Honda S2000 is a very common example. It's a sought after vehicle from that era of JDM cars, right? You've got the Supra, you've got the Supra, you've got the Skyline, and you've got the S2000. Every other car in that era is not as popular. So therefore, during that time, they made the same amount of those cars compared to every other car. So therefore, when you pick up a bulk lot of Hot Wheels and you have an S2000 in there, it's worth a lot more relative to the rest of the cars in the lot. But until you sell them and you sell them over and over again, you notice how quickly they sell it. You don't appreciate that sell through. Okay. But at the same time, because buyers are also finding it harder and harder to get those cars because out of the lot, there's only one out of 100. It's in bulk lots that eBay sellers put up. They also become fussier. So therefore, just so it's rarer for the seller, for the buyer, I can ask a price, but they will also be picky because they know, wait, it's going to come up again in 6 months and I only need one. So I'll let some other buyer pick it up for $10, but I'm willing to now pay 15. So it's two things kind of moving in tangent with, like, in what's the word, in harmony with each other. Yeah. So I think that does that answer the question, Anthony, in terms of how I price them? But that goes with every category because the biggest variable is the fact that it's being used over time. So and I remember having this conversation actually with someone about things that are designed to be collectible versus things that are collectible due to just desire over time. Oftentimes, things that are collectible are given as collectibles to people as gifts. They are bought to be kept as collectibles, and they actually become less rare over time just because there is a known number in existence versus an unknown number in existence of the common car that everyone still wants. And so the common car ends up being the rare thing. But the new reseller coming into any category will go and chase after the collectible number thing, only to realize, wait, I'm paying the collector a collector's price. So let's say if they ask for 50% off 50% off the collector's price. It was $50 back in the day. The collector's price is 100. They pay 50 thinking that they're going to get the 100, but then it sits. Because everyone's like, yeah, it's a collector's item, but we all have it already. We all never play with it. Its quantity remains pretty static. And then the used thing, it's like I pay $1, but someone pays 50 because in Iran they can't get that car, or that car never came out in Iran. And now they just are happy that it's available. You know what I mean? So that's kind of that's the threshold, I think, between what you can teach and talk on in a YouTube video versus that helps you understand it in your head. And then after that, there's the selling it, and then you've now got the confidence to kind of protect that category. And the yeah, like that. So, and that's the issue with Funko Pops. Funko Pops is everybody keeps it in boxes, so therefore over time, they don't actually appreciate that much. Sure, Funko can vault them and whatever, but after a while, the variants become not that variable anymore. And for those reasons, people don't appreciate how special something is versus something else. Compared to if you think about, like for me, a special moment for Hot Wheels for me is when I see a color that was popular way like back then. So a good example would be where we are definitely not in the era of British cars. So whenever there's that British racing green that comes out, it's that candy green that, like, if you think of a toffee apple, the green on the leaf, that green, when that comes out in metallic green, it's sought after because you don't see that color very often. But when you think about silvers and blacks and all your matte colors, that's current, doesn't make me happy. So I can imagine if a collector in 20 years' time picks up a box of cars and they see a lot of matte blacks, matte grays, the kind of thing that Audi, Kia, that really flat gray color, they'll see a lot of those shades in those bulk lots, and they'll get excited for that because I'm guessing it'll be a different set of colors that'll be current back in 20 years' time. So there's that too. The good thing about I like selling in low value categories because I understand that the thing that makes it a defensible category is a new reseller doesn't want to touch that category because they don't think they can make money in it. I like that mentality. And as much as I want to explain it to them, they'll go, yeah, but I'm not guaranteed to make that. Okay. But I understand how to put these stores together so that the buyer, and I take like 15 photos for every Hot Wheels car because I know that it leads to that 10, 20, order purchase. So therefore, for the most part, I'm left alone in the category. You know what I mean? But if I want to go chase sneakers, for example, it's a whole different grind. I'm competing with a lot of people who hope to make the money because they see larger dollars. So therefore, that's another nuance of why I like this category, which is why, like to Veya's point, I picked up some new Hot Wheels from Facebook. I've no idea where to start. That's what most resellers do when they start in a low dollar big category. It's like, do I comp them all? Do I comp them as a bundle? Well, if you want to learn, you comp them all. You comp them all individually to get a feel for what they're all worth. You might get to the end of you might get 100 cars and comp them all and realize they're only worth $2. You've learned something, but guess what? You should not feel disappointed because it's a big category. You probably need to comp like 2,000 cars individually to get a feel for where the curve is, and then you can decide whether you want to stay in it or not. But the thing is, if you don't want to do that and you bow out, I also understand that because that's very common. It doesn't make you weird or it doesn't make you a failure. Some categories have a much larger learning curve than other categories. And that's what makes them appealing to people who are willing to do that. And that's because you might like a different kind of grind. I like the research grind. I don't like the running around and lining up and chasing and, I don't like the thrift grind. I like the research grind. So because of that, I'm willing to take 500 Hot Wheels into my house, research them all, figure out the curve, and then my eye for the bulk lots gets better with each lot that I buy. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Clearly very passionate about this category because it's my category. Flipping Fungals here. Sorry, late to the party. Had a truck accident out the front this morning. Finally getting to some work. Cool. Somebody give me a. Oh, Leo's here. Hello, Leo the Cavalier. Welcome. Um, Beck, are you going to be here for a while? If you are, we'll answer your question in the next break. Does that sound good? Michelle, hello. And if that sounds good, give me a let's go, and we'll start another timer, and I'll answer your question about the reselling YouTube thing. I would love to hear some banter actually, because I reckon people who have an opinion on the matter get on the screen. Sagan, if you want to get on the screen as well, because you've got a channel. Paul, I know you've got opinions on the matter too. It's a juicy topic, and we will not hold back. So yes, give me a let's go, and we'll start another timer. Drum roll. Cool. Dave's here. Hello. Quietly lurking, I see. Whoa, that was quick. That flew by. All right, I'm gonna finish this thing, get my water because I left it outside. Silly me. And then we can have a chat for those who want to hop on. Sitting on 27 at the moment, so that's not bad. 27 meaning we were doing 12 the last session, now we've got 15. Getting faster. Whoop whoop. Flipping Farm Girl listed 134-year-old book slowly getting comfortable with selling antique books. Man, I would be so scared to touch those books. I feel like they were gonna crumble, and I'm going to rip a page, and it would just mess with me. Mandy, what up? Actually, Mandy, great that you're here. Do you want to hop on screen? I know it's last minute, and I know it's surprise because Rebecca, Miss Vintage asked, can you be a full-time reseller without a YouTube channel? And I feel like you would have an opinion on how social media helps because you've got a pretty solid Instagram following for your category. So if you want to hop on. This is the time where we're gonna have a chat about it. I think Justin's gonna hop on with collectible cards and Paul potentially as well. Should be fun. Also, Scott, Scott, if you're still there, I'm gonna show you something. Hopped into Kmart today, and they literally opened a new crate. So all the new figurines from that. I'm guessing this is second wave. All the obscure guys. So I've got Genghis Frog, Scumbug, Mondo Gecko, and Wingnut. Not for sale. These are actually for my boy. So with Christmas coming up, I promised myself I'll try and get all the characters, and so I think the only one I'm missing is Leatherhead, which I don't think came out, or unless someone already got it. Wait, does the tongue work? But yeah, Christmas is sorted. Leatherhead. Last one I need is Leatherhead, and then Christmas is sorted. Mandy's got works happening. Yep. So let me know who wants to hop on. I'll give another minute or two. I'll see who's backstage. Otherwise, I'll just monologue it. Not that I'm opposed to monologuing it, but it's a lot better if we have banter. So, Beck, if you're there, if you want to hop on, you can. Justin's here. What up? I will say a lot of these sessions are so cool and scary because I've actually never met a lot of these people before. So it's fun. It's fun and it's fun and scary. What up? I'll remove me. We'll add more people in. Does this work? This work? Yay! Justin, what up?
Hello. There you go.
Clearly, you're in prison, judging from your background.
Yeah, the background is messy, so we'll block that out.
No problem. How are you, man? Lovely
Good.
to meet you in person. This is considered in person.
It is, yes, these days. Yes, no. So the question about YouTubers and if it helps you guys, I think it can be a benefit, but I think it depends on how you bring yourself across to the people, because there's like yourself, like you're more I'm here to help sort of thing. There's certain YouTubers I've watched that resell that are definitely just in it for the money. And I would happily buy from your stores anytime, but I would not even go into their store to buy anything.
It's the trusting, isn't it? Like
yeah.
Because when we did business together, it's like bank transfer, take it off eBay, whatever, because there is a rapport. But you're right. If you go on the Instagram and if they don't send you to a eBay page, there is no protection. So I think that is a very legitimate concern. Yeah, because there are some people who they do the Instagram thing to not pay the fees, isn't it? They go, if I can build up my own following, I don't need to pay the fee to go onto eBay or go onto wherever.
Well, that's it. I think like there's a lot of people that will message you on Instagram or even on eBay and go, "Oh, let's go off the site and I'll buy more."
Yes.
But then, you're avoiding, there's got to be that trust level there to be able to go, okay, I'm going to avoid my protection as well as a seller and, do this for you. So I think.
Valid. Rebecca, welcome. Say something so we can see if we can hear you or not. I think Beck's frozen. I think she's frozen.
I think so.
No. Whilst we wait for her to unfreeze, what are your thoughts about? Okay, so assuming that you have no concern for trust and fear and whatever else, how do you feel about its prospects in terms of additional market and stuff like that?
Again, I think it works both ways. Like, it can be good for you, but it also is a distraction. Like, YouTube takes a lot of time. I used to do gaming videos ages and ages ago, and it would take me 3 to 4 hours to play and record content and then edit.
Yep.
So I would imagine it would be somewhere in that vicinity to be able to record and edit content for a reselling channel as well. So in that 3 to 4 hours, are you making the same amount of money that you're making if you would be doing reselling? So you've got to weigh the benefits against that. I think the exposure can be good, and if you're willing to share your channel, your eBay store on your channel, which a lot of the resellers don't, because they don't want just the views. They need, obviously, the click-through rate and all that sort of stuff matters as well.
Yes.
So, and that goes with the algorithm, where if you're getting the views, well, it's great, but unless you're getting the click-through rate and the sales, well, it actually makes the algorithm go against you.
Correct.
I think a lot of the YouTube resellers don't share their stores. So is it really a benefit to them in that way?
Yeah. And it's for sure, it's the, what's the word, like, welcome back. Your internet looks better. Can we hear you?
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Yes.
How are you?
So Beck, I'm not sure. Did you catch any of that, or would you like us to recap?
Bits. Just a bit.
Right,
I only got a few bits.
All right. So the first consideration we talk about is trust. Obviously, if you have a social media presence, you have to build that trust up, because there is no protection, especially if you're trying to not pay the fee. So it's one thing to use social media to direct them to an eBay store. So there is the protection. You're essentially saying, I can market my products better than eBay can. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, there are people who do it in social media because they don't want to pay the fee. They go, I know my audience and I know how to reach them, but they forget that eBay has credibility, right? There's seller protections, there's procedures in place, there's enforcement. So many times I'll see great ads on Facebook. I'll click on them, and then my brain goes, it says 100% refund, whatever, guaranteed satisfaction. But who's enforcing this? You know what I mean? And sometimes these sites, when you buy from them, if you read the reviews, you'll hear things like, bought my item, messaged them, didn't reply, can't find the site anymore. And you go, ooh, that's scary. That's possible. Very scary, but very possible, So I think that with social media, you've got to do a lot more reassuring. So that's the first thing. And then the next thing that we addressed was with YouTubers. There are YouTubers who will promote their store, and then there are YouTubers who will hide their store. And oftentimes people will say, oh, it's because of they're afraid of competition or giving away all their secret sauce. That's one aspect, but the bigger aspect actually comes down to the metrics, where if you've got subscribers who are going to your store to learn from you regularly, they are viewing and they're not buying. And so eBay views your store conversion metric as a lot lower because you're getting all these views and all these impressions. People are clicking through, but they're not buying. So eBay goes, so people click on your listing, but they don't buy. Why? But they can't explain it because they're not mindful that you have a YouTube channel. So that's the big one. So actually, so sometimes even the larger you get, you see that. So for example, someone like Chris Lin, right? Daily Refinement, how many 100,000 subscribers? He doesn't want to share his big store because that's a very big data swaying factor there. That if you want to make decisions about your business, you want the data to be pure. You want to know that when I change my photo setup, when I change my descriptions, that the impressions and the click-through and the conversion all show a reflection of that time. You don't want it to be because I did a cool video and that went viral, that made those metrics move, right? So that's usually the biggest concern, especially for people who intend to grow both their social media and their stores at the same time. Yeah. Jane, hello.
Thought I'd put my face in here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So on that thing of social media and eBay and all that, I agree with Justin. There's a lot of sellers out there who are sort of self-promoting and not helping. So, and look, I've toyed with the idea of YouTube. I've got one video up. It's not very exciting. And I've started with
well done still.
With Instagram. But it's just finding the time too, because you've got to have that. You've got to have that balance to be able to, are you wanting to grow your business or are you wanting to grow your social? And for me, it's growing my business. And I think if I was putting too much onto growing my socials, it's going to affect my business. In the long run, it might help my business grow, but in the short term, I need to concentrate on my business.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. We all watch everybody just about, but I've had to reduce who I watch as well, because I do find sometimes you go down that rabbit hole of watching too many and getting so much conflicting advice on running your business.
Yeah, and it's all repetitive too. They're all talking about the same thing in a different way. So you get that confusion.
Yeah.
As the YouTuber in the room, let me shatter some glass for you, right? When we start, so when I started, there was definitely a period of, if I speak from the heart, am I going to reveal too much? Because I don't know how it's going to go over. There's no pattern in the people who follow me. It's all just, is everybody out to get me? Is everybody out to support me? I don't know. Because of that, I don't know. There's a bit of a caution. And you still want to make content. So at the same time, you're like, all right, I'm going to just see what people want to hear about. I'll do a postage video, just tick that box. I'll do a listing video, tick that box. I'll do a photography video, tick that box, a behind the scenes video. And it's like, there's a bit of a copying, and that's where that repetition comes from. The issue is most YouTubers don't go from that to talking from the heart once they feel safe with their community. And then that's where you find that, wait, I feel like I don't know you any better than I did 3 years ago. And it feels like you're just doing this for the money of YouTube because I don't know, you're not really giving me more of you. And so I think for me, it was very much a mindful decision of like, all right, the moment I feel safe with you guys, and live streams was a very big part of that, because it's like, hey, there is no edit, there is no perfection, there is no sense of, I can't edit this, right? And there's no self-consciousness.
You can't hide behind the camera.
Yes, let's just push through this anxiety, let's just push through this discomfort. And you guys have been great. You're essentially all a nice big warm hug. And so because of that, I think that has essentially made YouTube a lot easier for me now. But I can imagine those who don't push through can essentially be stuck in this loop of like, I'm going to watch 5 videos today, and these 5 videos tell me that today the topic of the week is listing. So I'm going to make my own listing video. Then next week you'll hear eBay is dead. And then they'll say, I'll do my own eBay is dead video. And then you see the pattern, but you guys don't know what it is about because you're not YouTubers. So this is me kind of shattering the glass. So that's why I love these live streams now, because it's awesome, because you don't know what you're going to get. It is very much a box of chocolates, whether it's Tuesday night or Friday morning. And so, yes. I think with social media, there is definitely the one thing that we haven't spoken about is owning the leads that you get. So obviously with eBay, you can't remarket to them. You know, the email addresses are, I think they come down after 14 days. And obviously there's we now know there's an email filter as well, because you know you can't send phone numbers. Sometimes the bank details also don't get sent. You can't send email addresses, even if it's PayPal sometimes. So the filter is inconsistent. So I think part of that social media conversation is if you intend to do some sort of like a newsletter, email capture type thing that allows you to retarget later. Because when you think about it, most of us who want to start businesses, we sit down with someone, we think of a product, we go, hey, I've noticed that coffee cups suck. I want to make a better one. And then we find out how much it costs to go and manufacture one. And then we balk at the idea. It's like 20 grand to just get a prototype. And we go, get too much. So we do the eBay thing. And the eBay thing is great because, you know, it's slow, it's gradual. You learn about business, you learn how to handle stock, you learn how to skew things, price things, research. You get the idea. Once you experience fulfilling stuff, this new product idea kind of niggles in back of your head and go, hey, you know how to do this. You've saved up some money. Go build that prototype. If that opportunity still is great. At that point, your biggest question is, who do I market it to? Because I don't have all this. If I go build the prototype, I've now got no money to go and market to people. So I think that social media following that you build over time gives you that, you know, that little bit of a springboard. If you've got 10,000 followers, you can say, hey, I'm dabbling in a new item. I'm going to document the process. I'm going to show you what it's like stressing if a prototype is going to arrive broken. You do a nervous, you know, shaky knife unboxing video. You pull out your first prototype, and it's amazing. And then there's a little kid's voice that goes "hooray" in the background. And I think that's kind of that hope of what social media can do. But once again, not everybody has that end goal. And I think most resellers don't really think that far ahead either. We just kind of want to swap some time for money, stay home, be closer to the kids, right? Spend more time with Garfield. Guessing that's Garfield. Looks like a Garfield.
Behaves like one. Hey.
Yeah, did we miss anything?
All mine are locked out.
Yeah, I think like with the social media, I think the main point is like a lot of the resellers now, they're more focused on their YouTube channels.
Yeah.
And growing that. Like, so I won't, like, obviously we all watch a lot of people. I won't name anybody, but there was somebody that I started watching from the beginning of when they started reselling back when COVID first happened and they came in. And them back then to them now is two completely different people.
Yeah.
Back then they were genuine. They were, you know, all for reselling, making the money in reselling. And now they've gone the complete opposite where it's all content creation and YouTube, where realistically, if they put as much effort into the reselling as they did into YouTube, they'd be making double, triple what they are in reselling. But I guess I want to grow as big as I can. I don't want to, you know, go, okay, if I get to this much, I'm happy. I'm never going to be, it's not the money side of things. It's the, how big can I get this?
Yeah. I've seen like with some of the resellers that I've watched, again, Justin, those that have been selling for a long time and are now more focused on social media, and they'll show their 90 day, and I'll look at their 90 day and I'm like, okay, either you're making an awful lot of money from social media, or I'm doing really well and I'm not going to do social media.
And I do find that. I do find that because I've done my figures, and for me to leave my grown-up full-time job to match that income, what they're showing they're selling, I'm just like, wow, how are you living? Like, I know how much my figure would have to be, and it's a lot more than what you're showing us. So,
Yeah. Well, both my husband and I left full-time management positions at the beginning of to concentrate on eBay. For the first 3 months, it was a bit of an experiment, and then it was like, oh, we can do this. So so we're doing it.
and that's where I am. I'm in a good paying full-time job. I've actually just literally last night returned from a trip to Sydney, and it's just taxing. It's just taxing because I have that job, I have the reselling, and I'm wanting to go the reselling, and I'm running out of time in the day, like I'm pushing and pushing, and I'm just I think I'm just exhausted. Our weekends and after hours, and I do work from home 3 days a week in my full-time job, but we're just exhausted. We're just exhausted trying to maintain both.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't work near as hard now as a full-time reseller as I did as a part-time seller working full-time.
Wow.
But I am matching income, if that sort of makes any sense. So,
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you guys, I'm making less than I did back when I was in finance, for sure. Definitely, for sure. But I will say that I'm definitely a lot more present with my kids. That was my big win. It's the fact that my dad was a banker, I became a banker, and I'm now giving my kids the things that my dad didn't give me because he was building his career up. So there's definitely a very obvious trade-off. It's a choice we make, right? And I think it's if I think about where we align, all of us, it's the fact that we want to maximize the time and the effort that we put into our endeavors, however that comes together. And I think that's also been the thing that has helped me to not hate YouTubers so much. Let me explain. There are some YouTubers that I know make around $40,000 on YouTube, and then they do the reselling thing. If you have 40,000, that's essentially a baseline income. So that enables you to treat reselling as instead of a hustle and grind. But you still have to. But when you put those two things together, you still have to respect the hustle. And I think for me, when I started doing YouTube, I didn't want to do edited videos. And you guys have probably noticed that I started doing a couple of them, and they take a lot of work. Like that one with me photographing 10,000 photos, the edit for that took 6 hours. And then you add on it's 6 hours to edit one video. So when I told Matilda that, Matilda's like, wait, you spent 6 hours to get 16 minutes of content. I'm like, yeah. It's like, what? Okay, so that's the labor. And then there's the recording of the thing. So we had like a friend's family dinner thing that night. And literally, Jen just took the kids because at 6:30, I was not going to finish the project. And I wanted to finish the project, at least until there was too much pain to not continue. And so I finished at 8:30. I skipped out on the dinner. So that was that happened. But it was with a bunch of friends that they know that I've got this level of, obsessive focus when I want to do something. So she goes, yeah, John's still recording a video. They were like, yeah, cool. It's John, whatever. Literally, they went, it's John, and just carried on with their night. And then she's like, do I bring dinner back for you now? And nah, it's fine. I'm not even hungry at this point. So I think after going through that, I think I have a better respect for the collective endeavor, right? It's the choice of, here's how I want to spend my time. So I think the issue we have with YouTubers is the fact that they give advice on how to grow when they're not growing the thing that, they say they should be growing. But if we push that aside, we can actually all, I guess, kind of come together to some extent on YouTube reselling. That's my choice. Full-time job reselling. That's my choice. Stay-at-home mom reselling. That's my choice. Because it's still a maximization of, I guess, resource and time. That's how I'm choosing to be gracious about it. More so because hating people who are different than me feels tiring and it gets draining after a while. And I don't think I signed up for this gig to be drained. You know what I mean? That's been an epiphany, but I did have to try and take 10,000 photos and edit a long video to get to this point.
That was a good effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
My back was hurting for a week after that. It was not fun. Everything was angry for a week after that.
So I think I did about 2,000 photos in the 6 hours I did in listing, and that was bad enough.
Wow.
I have someone come in and take my book photos because I don't have time to take book photos, and she does 10,000 a week.
And you probably don't enjoy it from the sounds of it, do you?
Oh, no, I do. It's just, look, sometimes you need to pass those jobs on to somebody else so that you can concentrate on other stuff. So, yeah, she comes in 3 days a week and she just spends the day taking photos, and then I can concentrate on clothes and other stuff while she's doing books.
My resale journey home has a really good point. She's like, I took YouTube resellers as the gospel truth in the beginning and lost at least $500 buying junk. I think on that point, do not follow resellers to find out what to sell, because they will never tell you what to sell that you should be selling. Always find people who teach you things that you can apply to yourself. And as far as I've worked out, it's how to use platform and business principles. Those two things applicable everywhere. Ignore the product noise.
And I guess that comes down to what you're looking for in your target audience. Are you targeting your audience to other resellers or potential customers?
Because there are a lot of channels, I think, that are for people who don't have money to spend, and therefore they just get the high of people shopping. Right? It's like those videos that you watch people eating food, mukbang videos. It's like, I can't go out and fine dine, so I'll just watch you slice through steak, and I'll feel dopamine hit of you slicing through perfect steak, Or making latte art, because I don't have time to make latte art, so I'll just enjoy that through your latte art.
I think I did that at the start as well. When I started reselling, I watched a lot of the YouTubers and went, oh, okay, well, this sells, so I will get into this. And
there you go.
It wasn't that I didn't make money. It was that I wasn't passionate about it, so I didn't. It wasn't going to be a longevity thing for me. And that's where I've niched down to the trading cards now. That's what I love. That's what I collect. So photographing and listing that isn't a job to me. That's me doing what I love.
Can we acknowledge just how awesome it is when we do the things we love? We're a lot better for the people that we love as well. We do the things we love. Our kids can see that. Our spouses see that. People in the community see that. We're not walking around with like this heavy burden. You know what I mean? This cloud.
Yeah. I think like you, John. Like I want to do this full time because I want to be more involved in my kids' lives. Like I've been in youth work management positions now for 5 years, and that means that even if I am at home, I'm usually on the laptop, on the phone, dealing with issues at work. So I've stepped back now where I'm no longer in management. I'm just a casual, and even that has seen me become more involved. But I can definitely see being full-time at home reselling, I can definitely have more of a relationship with my kids.
Oh, absolutely. And your stress level. My husband left banking, John.
Yes. That haven.
Like he'd be up until 2:00 in the morning on his computer. And look, just his stress level since leaving and helping me with the business has just been amazing.
I think that's, my kids are grown up. My youngest is 19, so I don't have, I did my stay-at-home mum time, but I'm finding now the stress levels. I work for a non-for-profit in their property department, and if you've ever worked in property, specifically facilities maintenance, you're just dealing, you only hear and complaints, and after a while, it's just wears you down.
It's a burden. It's a burden.
Wayno, welcome, Wayno. Firstly, Wayno, I apologize for not adding you earlier. I have no idea how long you were waiting for. On StreamYard, how there's like a bar of like videos. you were at the bottom, and I saw like, wait, there's a little gray snippet, and I scrolled down, and you were in the green room. So I do apologize if I didn't add you on.
No. It was only like 20 seconds or something. So
Cool.
yeah, you're on the ball. I just jumped in because like I see a lot of comments about the YouTubers and stuff. And like I see a lot of that comment, my reselling journey home. I took YouTube resellers as the gospel truth in the beginning and lost at least $500 my junk. I'm seeing that comment made for the YouTuber that I'm guessing Justin was talking about. You got to be careful who you listen to. You really do. Some YouTubers, I think most of the YouTubers in the reselling community just genuinely want to help people, and they're not doing it. They're not doing it for money. And I can tell you right now, like John was saying, is the effort you put in, it's not worth it for the money. So they're not doing it for the money. Some of them are, the bigger ones are, and some of them, those bigger ones are more transparent than the other ones. So you just got to be careful who you listen to, really. And also, something that works for me just might not work for you. Like, you sort of got to take everyone's advice on board, but then still work it out yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
So, like, I can name names. You didn't want to name names, Justin, but my friends that are YouTubers, I will name their names, like Judder and Bad Jazz, Chris Furlong, these guys, the amount of effort that they put into making their videos, what they get back for it is not worth it. they're just genuinely doing it because they love it. They love helping people. And it's an outlet for them, basically. So yeah, there's lots of really good ones, but there is some bad ones as well, especially up top end of Australia.
I think the three that you just mentioned are great. Like, you can tell that they're in it to help the people, not to make the money. They make their money from the reselling, so they don't need to make the money from the YouTube.
Yeah, and it also depends. It really depends on you. Like, I pretty much don't make videos anymore. You guys can't be bothered with it. Like John was saying, the editing takes so long, and I don't really have time, and I'm kind of more interested in the movie content that I'm doing on the other channel. But we don't even get anyone watching, but it's just more fun for me. But
no, Megan, no, Megan, no. Okay, continue. Wait, no.
If Aussie flipper, if people if people are watching me, like, and I'm making a living, right? But I don't have any kids. I don't have massive debts. I have my cousin living with me, so all my bills are split. I really don't have to make a lot of money to live off. And I'm basically a part-time reseller. Like, I just spend half my week on the couch watching movies. It's great. I don't have massive ambitions to build a big, huge business, I'm happy just living off what I make and making enough to live, because, like I've spoke about in the past, I have massive issues with mental health and stuff, so it's all about being happy for me. So then if people are watching me and they want to build a big business, like, you're better off not taking advice from me. Going and finding someone like Brad and Jazz, take advice from them. You know what I mean? Like, you just sort of have to choose where you take your advice from. And definitely don't go dropping $500 at the op shop the first time you go there, thinking you can buy Nikes for $25 and sell them for $40 and make a killing. Teddy.
The circumstance, I think the circumstances part is so key to this conversation. Like, I've got a wife with a stable job, right? We've got two kids. We got two kids. Well, soon to be two kids in private school. Reality is we don't save any money, not yet. It's what it is, because everything I get, I just put back into the business to grow it. In terms of, like, I know there are some YouTubers who have no kids. Kids are an expense. Sorry, investment. Choice of word, investment.
Okay.
It is now on the internet. and like, we want the best for our kids, so we're gonna and I think with kids, right, those who have kids in the room will agree. If you skimp on your kids and you have money left over and you ask yourself, what do I do with this money? Your first thought is it's going to go back into the kids, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be schooling, better clothes, holiday for the kids, extra addition holiday camps for the kids. It is what it is. So I think it's like it's very but the thing that doesn't get talked about enough, I feel, is how you manage that relational element of your home as you do this endeavor. Because people watch YouTubers, they go, I don't relate to that business, but can I relate to the conversation that he's having with his wife to allow him to take up half the house? Or am I relating to his conversation he's having with Jane gets it? What was the conversation like when it was one room that became two rooms, that became a corner of the living room that you don't even use anyways? It's just that couch in the corner that no one even sits on. And then, how did that? And then
when I first started, I had bookcases in the lounge room. And then I managed to make some connections, and we had a rental property that was empty. So all my books went into the rental property. And then I managed to save up enough money with eBay because we live on property, to renovate one of the sheds on the property. So now these books have been moved from here to there, back to here. And then I started selling clothes because I made a connection there. And now I've got a lounge room full of clothes, and a study full of other crap. And my husband's like, I'm really proud of how far you've come, but I think we need to get a shipping container now to get it out of the lounge room, because we get visitors over and there's nowhere for them to sleep.
You see, so if there was a channel that did that, everybody could watch it and everybody could benefit from it, right? Because you're touching all the pain points that you can because if someone said to me, if you sell in this category, you can expect this result, Wayno's going to call bullshit on it very quickly. But if someone said, once you start going from a room to a living room, someone's going to say something. Once you start missing family dinners, the in-laws are going to say something. Once you lose your professional title, the in-laws and the extended family overseas are going to say, can you still feed his family, right? Then that conversation is valuable to everybody, because that's a lot more relatable, isn't it? And it's real. I think it's very real. Granted, your spouse has to be okay with you sharing it on YouTube. Mine is. Not sure if yours are, but there are those considerations.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate sort of your insights. There's so much, I guess, going through my head at the moment about whether I leave my full-time job and take this up full part-time. And my first year of doing reselling part-time, we hit 40K, which sort of gave me hope. And then we sold our house to buy another house to accommodate the growing business. But since we moved, life took a little bit of a turn, and I won't get into it too much. It's a bit personal at this stage, but we just, I've got the setup to go full time. I've got everything I need. I've got the space. I've got the sheds like you. I've got, the stocks that we're going to call them death piles. But it's just that, I guess, that courage. I look at the numbers and I start to freak out. Yeah.
You have to take. into account.
Sorry, Wayne.
Sorry. I was just going to say, you have to take into account, once you get rid of your full-time job, you got all those extra hours.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to put a lot more work in, but at the same time, you don't want to be working 80 hours a week. So you don't want to be adding that to what you're already doing in the reselling. So you just sort of, I guess you'd have to work it out, how you think you can manage it hours-wise, and how many hours you're willing to put in. Because if you want to make a lot of money reselling, unless you've got some kind of a lot of contacts, get a lot of good stock cheap, you're gonna have to put a lot of work in. That's why I don't. That's why I don't care to build a big business. It's for me. I'd rather be happy and just live what live off what I earn. and not have to do as much work. So, I go down, you probably see on my Instagram, I go down once a week, and it's about an hour and 15-minute drive to my best mate's house and see her and her daughter, who I absolutely love. Like, that's my, one day a week sort of where I take to myself, and she refreshes my mind every week. And then there's usually one day a week where I haven't been doing it lately, where I drive to Melbourne and go thrifting and stuff. So yeah, I don't spend a lot of time listing and stuff, but I get done what I need to get done to make enough money to live off.
Yeah. What I did, Beck, because I was coming out of a management position, is I spoke to my boss, because they knew what I was doing. They knew I was reselling part-time. They understood all that. And I explained to them, I want to take 3 months leave without pay. Can I do that? I want to see what's going to happen. And I can't do that if I'm working full-time. And they were fine with that. And they gave me that 3 months leave without pay. She rang me up halfway through March and she's like, what's happening, Jane? I'm like, I think we need to have a meeting. Coming back.
It has come to my attention that I am a lot more awesome than I gave myself credit for at the start of this process.
And I loved my job, loved my position.
Yeah.
And they've twice they've come back to me and offered me part-time management positions, and I'm like, still not going there, because I don't need to. But taking that 3 months leave without pay really allowed me to put to the test of what I could actually achieve. Even though I'm not working full-time hours as a full-time reseller, I'm still able to supplement. I can replace that income that I left. So that's when I decided that, let's do it.
Chris did it for 2 years. Chris Furlong put his job on hold for 2 years. He still had a job.
That's a long time.
Yeah, and after 2 years, he told him to get stuff. He didn't really.
Well, I think that's the difference between working for the local accountant and working for a Big Four, right? If you work for a Big Four consultancy, there's a lot more wiggle room for those things. So I suppose that's also a consideration, right? And I think in terms of full-time income, what is a full-time income really? You know what I mean? Like you can make adjustments to your expenses as well. You can put a lot of things on hold. Like my last overseas holiday was back when my son was a year and a half, 2018. There you go. Right? Like those things become very optional when you suddenly want to grow a business. So obviously if you're used to having 2 holidays a year and you trim that down to 1 every 2 years, that's 5 to 10 grand depending on what your taste is, right? So I think it's things like that where there are a lot more adjustments than just because the fact is if you look at it fundamentally, to get a job you study, right? There's an investment that goes into something that then you turn into income later on. With reselling, there is no investment. You don't borrow money. You very much flip as you go. So therefore, there must be some investment along the way. And I think there's a misconception that you can go from your job to reselling just like that because the models aren't the same. Fundamentally, the models are not the same. And so when I try and explain that to Jen as well, Jen was like, we don't have a salary. And I go, yeah, because we didn't borrow any money. If I borrowed money, there would be an illusion of a salary. But the fact is there is no investment other than the $2,000 that we started. And we've just flipped its way to 10, and flipped its way to 20, taken some away, reinvested in stock, flipped it again. And so it can be very, disheartening when you say, I'm turning over 30 grand this month, but we're only going to take home 3. Because you need to invest it again for the next month and the next month, which is why my biggest gripe, I think, with the whole YouTube thing is that people love this 6-figure title, but you guys all know 6 figures means nothing, and people think 6 figures is so hard to get to. It's actually really hard, very easy to get to 6 figures a year in revenue. I don't even track the revenue number. I only track the product sales revenue. I always say not postage. So every month we do between like 20 to 25K in product sales. But even then, it's like my tax return still shows $45,000 a year because I'm still reinvesting, So when someone says to me, are you a 6-figure reseller? I don't want the title because I know that it needs to be closer to 300, 400K before I can actually take home 6 figures for myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Get it?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, it gets a lot faster between that 300 to 400 when you pull that six figures because you're really slogging really between that 100 to 200 mark. And for those of you guys who hear these numbers and you're freaking out, don't freak out. It's just the reality of it because you're not borrowing money. You're already saving on rent. You're using your home. But if you want to go get a warehouse, you need to reinvestigate that warehouse. 5,000 a month potentially, 1,000 a month or 400 a month for a storage unit, then 800 a month for the second storage unit. You know what I mean? Like there's a process of big chunk reinvestment before you can really say six figures. And the journey from when you cross six figures to when you go to 200, 300 is actually a lot harder than when you go from 0 to 100. And that doesn't get talked about enough as well, I feel.
Oh, you're totally right. It is pretty easy to do 100 a year. I do it, and I barely work.
There you go.
Just sort of depends. How much you put into that six figures as well. Like my stock is not expensive at all. I'm not buying wholesale clothing at $12 a piece or anything like that. I'm buying DVDs under $1 a piece. So yeah, how much profit you make out of that is completely subjective. Like, it depends on who you are, what you're selling, and what you're paying for it. Yeah, it's really easy to manufacture those figures. By buying higher priced items and selling them at a small profit. But someone buying very low priced items and selling them at a bigger profit will actually make more money in the end.
I'm a bit of a tight ass when it comes to buying stuff.
I think that's what I'm realizing now, where I'm wanting to go full time, is where when it was just a hobby, that it was just I'm saving for a holiday or whatever for the family, I was happy to keep my minimum that I'm listing at $15, $20. That was the minimum I was listing an item for. Where I've got tens of thousands of trading cards that are worth between $1 or $2 that people will still buy, but I'm like, well, no, that doesn't fit my model. But now that I'm full time, and I've spoken with John about it, of how many listings I want to be having in my store before I go full time, I think those $1 and $2 items, they're going to sell. So why not put them up? And then you're going to get more traffic to your store, and they're going to see the higher priced items as well.
Would you be better off bulk lotting something, like not bulk lotting, but what sort of trading cards? Sports?
So I do anything from sports to Star Wars to Disney, and a lot of the my buy cost is usually between for the $1 and $2 cards 1 to 2 cents. So I'm still making, and then I add postage on top. I don't do free postage anymore, because I was losing way too much money that way.
So if you're doing if you've got thousands, if you've got 5 rookie cards of a player that's worth $2, would you be better off selling them together for $10 rather than singly for $2 each?
So I do that with some stuff, especially with the base rookies and all that from NFL and NBA, because a lot of that stuff goes over the US anyway. There's not a big market for that in Australia. So, and when people are buying stuff overseas, they want quantity. So, I will make lots of cards specifically for customers that I have in the US that will keep coming back to me because they know that I'll do that for them. They'll go, I want this player, and I'll go through all my stuff and go, okay, well, I have this amount. This is how much I want. And they go, sure. But I find a lot of people, other than Yu-Gi-Oh!, One Piece, and all those sort of things, they don't want multiples. They just want that one card because they intend in grading it or whatever for whatever reason, because it's not going to add value to it. It's just that's the player they chase, or that's the card they want, and that is nostalgic to them, and they want to keep that forever. They don't want multiples of it. I think it's more if people ask me, if people message me and go, do you have more of this stuff? Yeah, I'll lot it together and go, and give them more. I think I did that just on the weekend. It wasn't little cards, it was big cards, but a guy bought one of my graded Pokemon cards, and then he messaged me and goes, do you have any more of this set graded in 10s? I went, yes. He's like, do you have them listed? I'm like, not currently because I've only just got them back from PSA. He's like, well, can you send me photos and then we can make a listing on here and I'll buy the whole lot. So it went from a $100 sale to a $600 sale.
Nice.
Nice.
Woo! So nice.
But yeah, I think I'm sort of doing what Jane did, where you took 3 months off unpaid, where I was up until July this year, I was in full-time management. And in July this year, I went, okay, my original goal was 18 months. 18 months, I want to be full-time in reselling. Since July, I've found out that I could push it to the end of this year and I can go full-time next year. But I've cut my hours down at work where I earn enough to pay the bills, have a bit of fun, but put majority of my time into reselling. So to experiment.
Justin, Goblin's asking, how does post affect your top seller rating? Because Goblin does do cards as well. I think Goblin, you're more like Magic the Gathering kind of thing.
It hasn't affected it yet. I don't think free postage
I don't think it'll make a difference.
I don't think it makes a difference. No, like I did read, like, because I thought that I think top rated seller plus you won't have that, but realistically that's not much more benefit anyway. Like that's what you get if you do free postage and then you have free returns on everything and all that is top rated seller plus. Like top rated seller is more your metrics of doing everything right, like your customer service, your sending out on time, your returns and all that sort of thing. Like I still to this day don't offer free returns either.
Yeah, me neither.
Because I think a lot of people will get it and they will have a different opinion of the card than you do. And it's like, well, this is what my opinion is, just because your opinion is different. I go off what eBay's metrics are for the condition of a card. And they go, oh, I don't agree with eBay, so I want to return it. And I go, no worries, you can return it, but you've got to pay for the label, and once it's returned, I'll fully refund. And then they go, oh, I've got to pay to return it, I'll keep it.
The problem is some of those people will just do an IDAD. Like, if they want to return it and you don't offer free returns, it'll just be an item not as described, and then it happens quite often. I offer returns. I don't really get any. I don't even. I think I had one. It was a $10 DVD that I wanted to return. But yeah, look, you gotta be careful of not having returns on just for that reason, because you'll get INADs. But I think eBay's a lot better now with INAD.
I think since July I've had 4 INADs and I've won the case each and every time because I take very clear photos of the cards and I will show, like, one I didn't win and it was because I missed something on a pop and I'm like, my mistake, I'll fully refund, keep the pop. But the other ones I won because I will meticulously go through every single card, no matter the value, and look for every single flaw and photo it.
Yeah, I meant more from a traffic point of view. Like, you used to get an INAD or.
Then you'll see a dip in your impressions. Yeah, you'll see a dip in your impressions for a couple of days. Yeah,
sales will just stop for days. Yeah. It doesn't seem to be happening. I think eBay have actually listened to us, and they're not doing that anymore. It's good.
I will say though, I feel like whenever they do, obviously nobody knows what the eBay playbook is, but I feel like the sellers who, this is me triangulating, I could completely be wrong, so just hear me out. I feel like when there are sellers who complain about the INADs and how, they're going to open a case anyways and we're all going to be screwed and what's the point, they are the same sellers who, if you see their posts regularly enough, they're the kind who don't care. They're just angry angry at buyers, because my experience with finance has been very much Justin's experience, which is like, I will make sure I put as many notes as I can in the case that they open. Generally, it's several paragraphs as they will allow me, telling them, literally saying every step I'll take. I've opened a case for you. I've gotten a reply from Australia Post. They say to wait this many days. I've upload the photo. It's when you show that you are willing to resolve, I feel like eBay is more likely to resolve it in your favor, even though they can choose not to resolve it in your favor. So then that tells me that if I show eBay, especially when it goes to appeal, and everyone goes, oh, it's gone to appeal, the buyers asked eBay to step in, we're definitely screwed. Not true, because I've had so many appeals come back and it's like, we've refunded the buyer, but not from you. Because you're showing that you're trying to resolve it. And I think eBay does know how to balance that. But I think that there are many sellers who don't put in that effort or don't hone that craft of customer service, which they feel isn't necessary on eBay for some reason, which is absurd to me. And then they wonder why eBay just summarily dismisses them, because they obviously are not trying. I mean, they're never going to admit it, right? They just blame eBay. They say eBay is out to get us. eBay systems are flawed. And I go, hasn't been my experience. Clearly not Justin's experience either. Jane, what do you think? Matilda?
Look, your customer service, and this is coming from a managerial point of view, customer service should be priority. You get an issue, you deal with it straight away. You talk with your customer. That solves half the problems.
Just talk to them.
Yeah. I had one woman, she's like, oh, there's a mark on this dress. I'm like, look, I'm really sorry. The garments go through several processes of quality control. This is something that must have just slipped through. Send it back. She sent it back. As soon as I got it, thank you for the prompt return. I've received it. I've done your full refund. She's like, thanks, Jane. Not a problem. Mistakes happen. We're only human. She still left positive feedback. So you need to treat your customers not like idiots, and just resolve those situations. And, you may not get the outcome that you want, but if you're doing the right thing, I think, eBay sees that you're doing the right thing.
I think the other, it's important to not let the emotion get to you. Most people do. I think if you're going to be a reseller, you're going to get INADs and you're going to get INRs, and it's just going to happen. And you just need to accept it. And when it happens,
you need to get a thick skin, don't you, John?
Yes.
When it happens, don't throw the toys out of the cot. Just do the process. Over and done with. Who cares? Like, it's going to happen. I mean, if you've got a brick and mortar store, people are gonna steal from you. They're gonna walk out with items that they didn't pay for. It's just shit happens. Like, people are assholes. There's not that many of them out there on eBay. eBay are pretty good at stopping it from happening, I reckon, to be honest.
eBay are getting a lot better at stopping those scammers. Like, I had one a couple of weeks ago where I'm lucky it was the weekend and I hadn't sent the item yet, but the whole message, don't send the item, we've banned this customer, and it was a very expensive item. But they're getting better at seeing those and stopping it before they even get to you.
Yep.
Or trying to stop it before you send items.
I gotta run, guys. I gotta go pack me orders and shit. I still haven't done it. So
Later, thanks for jumping in.
Yeah, no worries. I'll catch you on the next one.
Catch you later.
See ya.
Matilda, my gosh, we haven't given you a chance to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You and Jane are friends, right? I'm from what I'm guessing.
Sorry, what's that?
You and Jane are friends, am I right?
No.
Oh, I don't know why. Just in my head, I thought you
We're
guys
all
were each other.
friends here.
I'm glitching with a bit. I thought Goblin sold cards, and then I'm thinking you guys.
I don't have many friends, John.
Isn't that why we do this?
Yep.
Well,
Matilda, I've been watching Matilda struggle with that bit of core flute at the back there. Get rid of the core flute. Get rid of the core flute.
It's not core flute. It's actually the acoustic board.
Get rid of the acoustic board.
It actually usually works for me. It really does. But this is the reality. I have to show everyone the reality. Like, I'm actually in the front yard because I have no room in my 4-bedroom house.
Yeah. We've all been there. I use a painter's canvas. I've got a really big, like 5 foot by 3 foot giant painter's canvas, which is covered in like a polar fleece.
Yep.
And it's perfect. It's big enough to be photographing. Like I do a hang lay, and it's long enough to do almost long enough to do a full length dress on, but I can do jeans and everything on it, and it's just rigid. It doesn't move. It doesn't float around.
Yeah. My problem is I've got to be a little bit flexible in where I work at the moment because I don't have a dedicated space set up. So the fact that it is portable actually works for me at the moment, but I'm just in the transition stage. I think some people know my story of closing down my bricks and mortar, moving at home. So I still do that on a very part-time basis. And now I'm ramping up the eBay. So I've done a swap. Where I was working a full-time business and doing eBay part-time, and now it's swapped over. So now I've got to dedicate more time to eBay. And my problem is I don't have my house set up yet. I've only just shifted out of my shop about 3 months ago. So I'm just focusing on 80% of my time building my store. My store pretty much dropped down to 300 listings. So this transition stage is just about dedicating as much time as I can to eBay, and that involves just getting stock into my store. So at the moment, I'm just doing what I can with the limited time I have. And then, as I go, just adding processes and tidying up spaces and dedicating, actual spaces for particular things, particular tasks that I need to tackle further on down the road. But it's a very slow process. It's a little bit like what tech, I suppose, talks about, is just adding processes to your business slowly so they're not going to slow you down, so you can still be working on earning the income. So that's where I am at the moment. So it looks clunky. It doesn't look pretty at all, but it's getting the job done.
Right. Okay. I just thought you were struggling a little bit. That's all. I was just.
It did look like it would have been easier if the Lord made you taller and maybe wider.
And I'll just touch on what you were talking about there with YouTubers and whether eBay resellers benefit from having a YouTube presence. I've considered having a YouTube presence, but I understand how much time it takes. And yeah, like it's been said before, I think there's only a handful that really are doing YouTube to earn a decent income. I think most of them, it probably is just to document what they're doing, be able to give back to the community in some way. And I think there probably is a little bit of that ego thing. It's like, look what I did, look what I found, kind of thing, which is nice to share in the community. And I do that with a very close group of friends. And you do get that little bit of adrenaline and, a little bit of that euphoria when you're finding that. So what I've tried to do is find ways that I can do that within the community, meet that need of where I feel like I need to be part of the community, just find ways to do that. And so having, a really close group of friends, mentors, and not in the same niche, which I think is really good. And I encourage other people to try and do that. Just reach out. I know it's a bit scary and you think, oh, you might get rejected, but that's life, Our 5-year-old kids seem to be able to do
That's how we became friends. We just messaged someone on Facebook. Done. That was it.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
You seem like a nice person. Hello.
So you don't know where it will go, and we are blessed. I've said this before. We are blessed that we can be rivals in a way, but also be there for each other. Not many industries allow us, would allow us to do that. Or, a lot of industries would just, they would not want to do that. They would be quite guarded. So we're very lucky in that respect. And I want to thank John publicly for everything he's done, because I know it does take a lot of work. So thank you, John.
It's fun getting to meet all of you guys for the first time. All of you, men and women, for the first time. And it's fun. I think it's cool. We've had a few transition stories shared today. Clearly not the intention. To be perfectly honest, the intention was just to have Matilda on today. She was the person who was going to pop on. But then, Beck, you asked a really good question, and then Justin's keen to hop on, and Jane was like, "I'm game too," and then Wayno hopped in, and then we've covered YouTube, we've covered transitions, we've covered pricing, we've covered relationships, we've covered community. It's cool. And it all kind of goes together, right? And I think that's this is as robust a conversation as one could hope for.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I think that's what your channel, John, is all about. It's just, bouncing ideas off each other and having fun at the same time.
Thank you.
Yeah. And just getting back to whether you can make this a full-time gig, I'll just share. Before I started doing eBay at home and considering my full-time income, well, hoping that it will be, I was only receiving probably about $75 a week as profit, doing a lot of work. But I've been able to, in 3 months, get that up to about $460 a week on average, my best week being $650. But I know that this needs to become double that, really, to replace some kind of living wage these days. When I look at my expenses, really it needs to be probably around about $75,000, and that sounds really daunting. So when I think about that, probably a little bit unlike John, and we respect each other for the way we see things and the way we work and our methodology. But I very much believe in reverse engineering. Like, if I want this amount of money, what does it look like? And then I realise exactly what it's going to take. So I'm very vocal with my mates and in the community about increasing ASP. I think that's the way to get there, because when I look at the limited time I have, I'm a single mum with 6-year-old twins and aging parents, and it's probably a blessing because it makes me consider what I'm doing with my time a lot more than what I would have as a single person. So I think about what that looks like to be able to generate that kind of income. The only way I can get there is to increase the ASP, unless I want to employ somebody. But even if I wanted to employ somebody, I've got to be careful about how I do things, because you're paying them money. And, time is money. So you need to be very deliberate about your decisions. So my journey now is just dipping my toe into the higher end side of fashion. And I encourage, anybody else in your niche to start to do that as well. Maybe just spend a couple of nights just, doing sold comps and see, search highest to lowest in your category. And just see what's selling for the higher prices and seeing if you can capture some of that as well. So that's where I'm heading. I'm very much realising that 20 or 30 hours a week, doing what I'm doing now is not going to get me to 75K a year. Definitely not.
Are you talking about 75K profit or
75K income, and then taking tax out of that? So yes, it's profit after everything, but not profit after tax. So I'm just basically comparing it to going out and getting a full-time job, pretty much. Yeah.
I like that that Beck, you relate to that point, because that's probably similar to where you're at. It's like there's a full-time number that you want, and it's figuring out what transition period you can weather to get there. Speaking very frankly, what do you if you to Wayno's point about you've got a lot more time if you quit, if you had all your time back, and you could actually work on the business, realistically, what amount of time would you require before you reckon you'd see that 75K?
Doing what I'm doing now, the lower ASP stuff. Is that what you're talking
Yourself
about?
and also Beck. I'm very curious to know how long you think that transition period is going to be. Because Jane, for example, did it for a month and a half, and she was like, "This is looking good. I'm good now." You know, Chris, for example, I think it was like 2 years. So what do you guys reckon your transition period might be, and how do you reckon you'll navigate that?
Yeah, so if I push the high end stuff a little bit more, and I'm capped as to what kind of capital I can spend to do it. So that's my problem, unless I'm using credit cards and whatever, and it just doesn't sit well with me to be spending too much on investing in stock when I've got 2 kids to look after. So that's going to be my cap. That's, the thing that, the factor that's going to contribute to how long it takes. But I expect that I think it will take about 2 years. That's what I'm predicting. It'll take 2 years to get to 75K, and that's okay for me because I'm still making a little bit of money with the alterations. I'll probably make about 20K a year doing that, and I think that that's something that people should consider as well. Just having 2 streams of income while they're building it up, just having something that becomes what eBay used to be your side hustle. Find another side hustle while you're building your eBay up to that level. Yeah, so I'm expecting it would take 2 years, and I'm the kind of person I'd like to be realistic, and then if I exceed that expectation, I can feel better about myself. It's just psychological. If I was to get there in a year, then I can go yay and really celebrate. So that's that's sort of how I see things. But I am very much a planner. Everything needs to be deliberate, and I think that's because of the kids. That's amplified because
I'm a go with the flow kind of girl, and my husband's the planner, and his rule was you need to be doing $2,000 a week gross before we can even consider looking at going full time.
Right.
And look, now I'm doing between 3 and 4 gross a week. So it's not that I've got the higher value items either, Matilda. I've been really fortunate that I've been able to make connections to get my stock and get a lot of stock for either free or cheap. All my clothes I get for free.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether I sell it for $10 or whether I sell it for $50. I haven't had to outlay for that. So I've been really fortunate there. And with my books, I get those really cheap as well.
So is that clothing? Clothing?
Yeah.
Yep. And how many hours a week would you be spending at the moment on eBay?
Definitely not 40 hours.
Okay.
Definitely not 40 hours. And I don't list every day.
Yep.
I draft every day, but I don't list every day. I will build up a stockpile of stuff to do, and when that's all ready to go, I'll do it. So, I might only list 70 to 100 items of clothing a week. Generally, I list 30 books a day because I've got a draft bank. So I've always got books there to go. But to be totally honest, I don't spend a lot of money on stock at all. I have a connection, a contract with a local op shop, and I pick up a trailer load of clothes every month.
Wonderful. So
and there's a lot.
Sorry, can I ask how many items you have in your store? Roughly.
Books or clothes?
Clothes.
Because I like to keep things tidy and separate. So let me just get in.
Clearly you're born with that attribute, because I was not born with that attribute.
What attribute is that?
Keeping things tidy and separate.
Oh no, I got to keep everything behind the scenes is a bomb site. So I got to keep everything else tidy. Let's have a look.
And when you say 3 to 4K, is that turnover?
That's total sales for like that is across my 3 stores. So I will
Yes,
do.
but that's with mindful. That's with like close to free inventory. We cannot stress that enough. Like next, close to free inventory is such a game changer.
Oh. And look,
oh.
this is my big thing, John. I always say to people, talk to people about your business. Tell them what you do. Be proud of what you do.
Jane, talking is a very hard thing for humans to do in general nowadays.
I have John.
I have been in the queue at the post office with trolleys and trolleys of parcels, and people have said, "What do you do?" "Oh, I sell books." "Oh, I've got books. Do you want books?" "Yes." I have 2,077.
Right.
In clothes. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there's an observation here. If you talk to people and you're able to get stock at close to $0 cost, you only need 2,000 something listings to make a living. If you don't like talking to people in public and you prefer to grind it out and try and do 10,000 photos in one sitting, you need closer to 8,000 listings to make it happen. So there you go. That's the science.
I would say.
Why would I choose?
I would say 90% of my listings I've not paid for in my clothes.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Guys, can we have a round of applause for this, please? I think we need to collectively applaud this. This is a great arrangement.
And my books, I started with my books. I picked up a shipping container load of books for $1,800 about 2.5 years ago. And then picked up another one. And now I've made a contact in Melbourne simply from talking with people about what you do. And I'm down there once a month on average, picking up a trailer load of books for anywhere between $100 and $500.
Wonderful.
So,
wow.
You know, it's my big thing is talk. Don't be afraid to talk about your business. Talk to your friends. Talk to, if anyone says, "What do you do?" Well, no, this is what you do. Be excited about what you do, because once they see that you're passionate about what you do, then opportunities start to come to you.
Can we also say that the delivery is so important? You know, that microsecond when you versus say I sell people's junk or whatever that microsecond is so important, because I don't want to be. It makes the difference between I have something for you that will benefit me, which is clear this space in my house, to I don't want to put my rubbish onto you as a burden. That microsecond makes that response, that difference, I feel. Yeah.
People ask me what I do, and I tell them I sell clothes, books, and other shit. And they will say to me, "Oh, well, I've got a house full, I've got a garage full of shit, or my mum just died, and I've got all this shit." "Yeah, okay, fine, I'll come and get it."
Yeah. like okay, you guys remember I reacted to Matt's video where he went.
I might not be able to use it all, but I can get rid of it all.
Yeah,
if it's
remember that video that I reacted to where Matt went door knocking in all of the Queensland big houses, and he was pitching like, "Hi, my name is Matt. I have an eBay store and I sell people stuff for a little bit of cash." That's not what Jane's got it like down pat. It's like, I sell people shit. If you've got shit, give it to me and I'll move it for you. Like it's that snappy, and people will just be like, "Oh, great, I've got stuff," And then at the end of that video, he was like, "No one gave me stuff." Yeah, because it wasn't convincing, and that's what this is, a skill set. Let's call it what it is. It's a skill set, and if you hone it, you open up opportunities. Fair.
I wish I could get stuff for free, but I think
it's
never going to happen.
It's a lot of being in the right place at the right time. I mean, with the clothes, I was in this op shop, and they had all these black garbage bags, and I had my son with me, and I said to him, I said, "I'd love to go rummaging through," thinking they were donations. "I'd love to go rummaging through those black garbage bags and see what's in them." And the manager heard me, and she goes, "They're just going to the tip. Do you want them?" And I'm like, "Yes, how much?" She's like, "No, you can take them." I'm like, I didn't know what to say. I'm like, yeah, sure. She asked me,
by the way, is there an op shop that you hate that I can redonate these to when I'm done with them?
Well, actually, you getting that amount of free stuff, like it's a trailer load. It's a trailer load. I get maybe 3, maybe 4 big stripe bags of stuff out of it, and then I've got a lot left over. But I've made a connection with another op shop in town who works with disabled people, and they actually sell what they don't sell to a company in Melbourne. So I donate what's left over to their pile of shit that they're going to sell to this group down in Melbourne. So they're making money off it as well. Nothing's getting burnt. Nothing's getting thrown to the tip. And it's very circular. Very circular.
Guys, as this is the part where all of you guys watching, please note, it's as resellers, you pick the points in the supply chain where you make your cut. That's all it is, right? If you're I don't like the fact that the conversation revolves so much around eBay sucks. I'm going to Facebook. Facebook sucks. Has anyone tried Gumtree? Anyone tried Depop? Oh, if only Poshmark was here. Like, it's so limited, that mindset, you know, like to what Jenny is saying, she's essentially realized there's this supply chain, stuff moves, pick your spots, form a train between this station to this station, and that's your line, and that's your business, you know. And then people complain that, you know, platforms are competitive, platforms are this, they're screwing me over, yada yada. When you've got that train line, it's your train line. No one's gonna take that from you. It's not even platform specific anymore at that point. And at that point, you feel so much confidence as a reseller, so much confidence. I kid you not. Like Jane's talking about it, right? Because she's like, "You're not gonna go to the op shop and take my contract. You're not gonna care. You know, it's my contract, and I've got this. I've got the input and I've got the output. Done. The in and out, right?" And I want you to take a look at Jane's screen, if you can, and observe how little stress she has on her face. This literally is the benefit of picking your line. Beck recognizes it. Yeah. So as when you think about a reselling and you start on eBay because it's easy, you start on Facebook, whatever. You need to very quickly move on from trying to save the fees and trying to, you know, whatever, and just figure out how you connect people. And then how you can keep doing that better and better. And of course, see how you can do that at a much higher volume. You know, 1 garbage bag, 2 garbage bags, 10 garbage bags, trailer load, container load, right?
Ain't got room for another container.
I have a dream. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this publicly now, right? And this is gonna sound really ridiculous, but let's just do it because I feel like it's in the spirit of this conversation. I have a dream that this community can crowdfund and potentially own a shipyard. Let's do that. Let's be Vikings and own a shipyard.
A shipyard.
That way, like every other community will be like, we have courses on how to resell. We have this hack and that. Like, no, we have a shipyard. How cool would that be? It's like we have a shipyard.
I've got 4 acres of empty paddock. Does that help?
We need a place to store containers. Jane, stick around.
This sounds like mine is bigger than yours.
I think a lot of the people that complain that eBay is like dead and everything like that,
registered as a church.
I think all those people they don't want to put the work in, and that's why it's dead. Like if you put the work in, eBay rewards you, and I think that's the biggest thing I've found, and I've spoken with you, John. Like since coming to the listing lives and all that, my traffic on my store has tripled, almost. But that's because I'm putting the work in. If people don't put the work in, then you're not going to see the results, and then you're going to think eBay's dead, or whatever platform you're on.
Bang on.
It's like any job. You get out of it what you put into it. You know, if you're not going to put into it, then you're going to get diddly squat out of it.
I'm interested to hear what you guys think of the 30-10 method.
Of the what?
The 30, doing the 30-minute listing and the 10 chatting. Does it work for you guys?
Oh, this
It's
is only my
normally-
second one, and I was
It's normally
in
a lot longer than 10 minutes chatting, but yes. It's almost 30-30.
Well, look, I feel like what we're learning is people have asked for a morning listing live session, and it's becoming very apparent that if you list during the daytime on a Friday, everyone wants to have a chat. It's just Friday work. It's almost evolutionary. I feel that even the caveman on a Friday afternoon did not work and just chatted around the fireplace. And so this is what is happening here. We cannot fight it. Let's not fight it. But I think, the 30-minute and 10 definitely does a lot more for us on the Tuesday night.
Yes.
And if we had more night sessions, it would be, and even like on Tuesday that went by, we rolled several 30-minute lots into, I think we did 3 30-minute lots rolled in together because we were just like, there's not much to talk about. We want to get stuff done because it's Tuesday night. But Friday afternoon, this happens, which is good. Yeah.
But as a general rule, when I'm listing anyway, even if I'm not watching a live stream, I'm doing that more or less anyway. I'm doing that 30 minutes of listing and then taking a break, and doing that 30 minutes of listing and doing a break. Otherwise, I'm going to fall asleep in front of this damn computer.
Yeah, I wish I did that the other day, and my back wouldn't feel how it does right now still.
Or John's hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That was a killer.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's 1:00. Shall we do more listing or call it a session? What do you reckon?
Well, I am going to watch my daughter play football, so.
And I'm going to go have some lunch and then get back to listing. See if that truck's been moved out the front yet.
Well,
so I'm actually on an ADO today. So today's my recovery from my trip to Sydney, but it's my postage day. So that's what I'll be doing, postage and listing.
Well, have a good weekend, everybody.
Yeah, Beck, thanks for your question, and thanks for being game to hop on last minute. You doll up very quickly and very well. So,
thank you.
You found your face very quickly. So
you know what? I put my hair up because I still can't find my hairbrush from my trip.
Justin, you and me, we're men. We don't have such considerations in our existence.
No, we just get up and look beautiful.
No work needed.
Consistently gorgeous.
Coming back as a man in my next life.
Well, Rodio, I'm going to
Thanks.
call it quits there. See you later. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Everyone.
Thank you.
I'm going to call the session too then.
Bye.